Welcome to another episode of Between Two Barbells. I'm your host, Cassie Johnson, and today I'm here with Patrick Johns. Patrick is our January 2021 Member of the Month. Patrick, thanks for coming in.
Thanks for having me.
And chatting with me for a little bit. I'm so excited to share your journey because, and I really want to talk about this first because and people that are possibly watching that don't go to Tally Ho and don't know us and our community and what we do. So I'm remembering a Patrick and Angela that came in and were like, hey, you know what? We're going to try this thing. I think the goal was you had a cruise.
Yeah, it was going to Barbados.
That's right. So you had a trip.
I had a trip.
But y'all came in January?
January. I think January the 8th.
Okay.
I believe was the day.
Okay. So January you guys came in, trip in mind. Hey, we have, 7 months to prepare for this trip. So we're going to join a CrossFit gym. Tell me a little bit about your first experience when you came in.
It kind of takes you back because, I grew up in a weight room, the bench press, the inclines, the squats and all that stuff. But then once we got in here and it's added all the different movements and added, hey, we're going to do 30 of these and we're going to do 15 of these and then we're going to go back and do 25 more of these. It was really like, oh, wow. Like we have got into something that we might be in over our head.
I remember after you joined in, and we'll go through like different strength cycles and stuff, and I think we happened to be doing bench press, and I looked at you and I was like, Patrick, it's your day.
It was, I can shine when it's traditional, lift. That's kind of my jam, so.
So I remember having this conversation with you and Angela at our front desk, and y'all were like, yeah, I think this is what we want to do, because, I think this is like going to best prepare us for our trip, because we want to be looking good and feeling good when we go. And y'all were both, I'm just gonna sign up for the 6 month.
Yeah.
Like I think that'll be good, 6 month. And now it's been a year later.
A year later.
So tell me about that.
The first few months was like, man, this is, I'm dying. Like I can't make it through these workouts, and and you're struggling, and you're looking over, and you've got people that's just blowing it out. Just like they're doing everything perfect. They're barely breathing hard, and you're halfway through, and you're like, I'm not going to make it. Like this is probably where it's going to end for me. But then, as you get the third month, fourth month into it, you start to realize what you can do, and you start to realize, how to do these workouts. Because there's a trick to this stuff, and knowing your body and knowing what you can and can't do in the pace. Now, in a year in, like I'm doing these workouts, like I'm doing all these workouts, and I'm doing them within the times, and I'm starting to RX workouts, and I can see that I'm getting stronger, and it's so much of a change to see that from month 1 to month 10 or month 11, and it's been great for me. I'm here 4 days a week most of the time, and I just can't imagine not being here,
right?
Not doing these workouts.
So everybody has the first 2 weeks where the soreness is just a little intense.
Yeah, the first month was like, I can't get out of bed. I don't know how I'm going to take a shower because I can't lift my arms up. But now, you still get sore now. Like
Sure.
you have those days.
But it's not like those first.
But it's nowhere near like it was. If you can make it through the first month, you're okay. You got legs.
Obviously, your mindset around, hey, I'm just here to get ready for the vacation, somewhere in there your mindset shifted. Was there a moment that you can recall where you kind of, not like an epiphany, but is there a moment that you can remember that you were like, you know what, this is about more than the vacation?
I guess it wasn't like a one singular moment. For me, it was seeing the results. It was seeing the results on the scale. It was seeing the results of my body changing. I'm losing the fat. I'm gaining the muscle, and seeing that. In this one particular instance is we worked out. It was two 800-meter runs, and this was early on into the process, probably February time frame. And I remember that Justin was coaching, and I made it halfway around, and he come out and he's like, hey man, just come on in and get on the bike. You know, you're gonna time out. 'Cause I think it was a 10-minute time limit for the mile, whatever it was. And I was like, okay, you know. And now I can do that. Like I can do the mile in 7, 8, 9 minutes, and it's just seeing that the improvement.
Yeah.
And once you start seeing the results, it's like, okay, so I can run a mile in 8 minutes now. I bet I could do it in 7. Or I can do, you know, I can squat 295. I bet I can do 315. You know, and it's just you continually try to push yourself. You can see that you can do this stuff, and then you go do it.
Right.
And you think, I did this, now I've got to get better. I've got to do a little bit more next time. I've got to work a little bit harder on this. And it's just the mentality of pushing yourself
Right.
is what I kind of got addicted to, you know?
What I love that you just described beautifully was when people come in here, typically they have one thing in their side. I want to weigh this amount of weight, or I want to fit into these pants again, or blah, blah, blah. But what I hear from people as they come in, that kind of gets set to the back burner,
Yeah.
and you forget about it. Like, I'm not now focused on the number on the scales or the pants, because now I'm like, ooh, I want to be able to squat 315.
Right.
I want to be able to run the 7-minute mile. So for me, I feel like that so helps people not get bored, because
Yeah.
now I'm thinking about, and we've all been there, the old gym routine where you went in, you did cardio for the first 30 minutes, and then maybe you did, for girls, maybe they did like the small circuit on the machines, or for the guys, maybe they went and broed out and did, you know, their supersets and stuff. Where when I'm doing that routine, I'm not seeing this, I'm not getting pushed.
Right.
And I don't have a focus in the gym, so all of my focus is on my pants that are too snug, or the number on the scales, or whatever. But I love that when I have guys and girls come in here, they're like, I want to be able to do pull-ups.
Yep.
That means I'm going to hit my goals outside the gym, but again, I'm not focused on them, and I'm not going to get bored with them. So I love that happened with you too. Like, hey, I used to not be able to do the full loop or run the mile, and now I'm freaking crushing it.
Yeah.
And the scales show that too.
Right. Yeah, and I come in with that mentality. I need to be, you know, X amount of weight. I need to, you know, you shift away from that. The further you get into it, the more you start to realize, hey, if I get to where I need to be in the gym, that stuff will come. And if I get better in the gym and I'm more efficient with what I'm doing in the gym, all that stuff will fall into place as you go along.
Absolutely.
And it, you know, it took 4 or 5 months to figure that out. But once you figure it out, that's when everything starts to get fun. You know, it's
So what would you tell that Patrick that was sitting in there by the front desk with me that day on January 8th? What do you tell him?
I tell him, buy in, listen to what they're telling you. It's gonna suck for a while. No delusion, it's gonna suck for a little bit, but once you get in it, and once you learn and you see, you know, that you physically can do this stuff. Because I come in with a mindset of like, you know, I'm out of shape. There's no way I can do this stuff. I had a negative mindset, and it hindered me the first few months. I'm like, oh man, I got to go to this place, and it's like I'm gonna be on the floor dying. But once you get past that, it's a lifestyle and a life changing thing for me. I'm 40, fixed to be 42 in April, and I'm in better shape now than I was probably when I was 18, 19 years
That's
old,
beautiful.
coming out of high school. I'm still a little bit heavier than what I was then, but I'm way, way better off. And my regret is I didn't do this a long time ago.
Right.
But you kind of live with your decision.
So tell me about, and without trying to like get too far into some of your old like circumstances, briefly describe your the difference in your previous lifestyle, people that you were around, decisions that you were making versus how you are now. Because it sounds like they're two completely different people.
Night and day difference. You know, previously, you know, life kind of kicks you in the tail. You know, you've got kids, you're running kids here, you're running kids there. It's, hey, I'm going to run through McDonald's, get a couple of cheeseburgers. It's going to be okay. You know, you go home and you're eating all the bad stuff. You know, if it's in the house, you eat it, Oreos, whatever. We're now, after going through nutrition coaching and seeing, hey, make this choice as opposed to this. You might not hit it every time, but as long as you're thinking about, hey, this is better for me, this will fuel my body to do these workouts, this will help me, meet my goals. It's a whole mind process change from where it was previously. I've told you before, 2 years ago, I was going to go have weight loss surgery because I was almost 310 pounds. And now I'm down to 240, 235, around in that neighborhood. And it's just about making choices. I just decided, hey, this is not what I want to be. I don't want to feel bad. I don't want to, I don't want to be sick all the time. I don't want my kids to see me look like this. I want to set an example for them and show them, hey, this can be done. And, this is an important part of life, is taking care of yourself and exercising and eating right and just trying to be an example for them. And that's the total different mindset than what it was 3-4 years ago.
Right.
It's changed that much just in 2 years.
So you coached your son's football team.
Yes.
Are you like a hands-on coach, or are you like running around doing some of the drills with them, or
Oh, yeah.
what did that look like?
I'm very hands-on. I coach, these guys are 8, 9, 10 years old, and I've learned that they learn better when you show them. And I'll get down there with them and roll around, and they try to cheap shot me, but I still got old man strength. I can still take them down. But it's helped out too, because that's 2 hours worth of exercise that I'm going to be out there doing anyway, so I might as well, get the benefit of it.
Right. And how did you coach a couple years ago when you were not feeling so great?
Yeah, I did. I've been coaching for, I think, 3 or 4 years now. And
what are the differences between how you coach now versus how you coach then?
When I was at my heaviest, you just hurt. Like your ankles hurt, your knees hurt. You're carrying around all that weight, and you're just miserable when you get done. And it's to the point where you're like, man, you just dread going because it's 2 hours of in the heat or in the cold, and you're standing there. You're just like, I don't really want to show these kids this stuff because I'm not in shape. I'm going to be breathing hard and all that stuff. And now that I'm in better shape, I can get down, I can run with these kids, I can beat them in sprints, and they got an old man running down there beating them, and it drives them crazy, and it pushes them, and and that's kind of what I wanted. I wanted to say, hey, you can be better, you can be in shape, and just to show them maybe one of those kids will look at that and say, he was an old man and he could still smoke us when it come to a foot race. So,
Dude, that's awesome.
Yeah.
And I just love that and I have these conversations with everybody that comes through these doors, is that if you can just make this, and you've made it, I'm the type of person who, fill in the blank. You were the type of person that goes to McDonald's and gets a double cheeseburger. Now you are the person that, if it's the lunch class, I'm there.
Yeah.
Or I'm the type of person that, plays football with my kids or whatever.
Yeah.
And I just love that it now becomes just like ingrained. It's who you are.
It's part of it, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, this is who we are, And my kids, when I pick them up at school, they're like, hey, we're going to the gym today. And I'm like, yeah, we're going to the gym today. And it's like, can we climb the ropes? I'm like, no, you can't climb the ropes. I said, we'll get you in there and climb the ropes. But they see that, they see that it's an important part of my life. And they see that, hey, my dad does it, so this is something I want to do. Because, especially my daughter, she's very gymnastic oriented, and she does all the flips and everything. And she likes to do that stuff. And we'll get down and we'll do a little workout at home and do the crunches and the sit-ups and stuff, and show her some of the things I've learned in here. And they take to it and they enjoy it. So
I love that it's just normal. Like this is just
it's
this
just
is
part
what
of
we
it.
do.
Yeah, it's just part of it. This is what we do.
So you, let's see, when did you start nutrition coaching?
Oh God.
You've been out for.
I've been out for like 2 months.
To the summer.
Yeah,
around
it
summertime.
started in the summertime, really.
So why did you reach out? So you've seen results, and so at this point you've been here for 5 months or so, and then you reach out for nutrition coaching. What was your thought process around that?
The thought process was what I was doing wasn't getting the results that I wanted. I was busting my tail in here, and I thought, hey, if I'm going to bust my tail in here, I need to be doing the things to, amplify that.
Right.
I don't need to be doing things to take away from the hard work that I'm doing in here. I need I need to learn. I need to know what a healthy breakfast and a lunch and a dinner looks like. I need to know if what's in my head is actually right, in which I found out that I was wrong on a lot of things. But sometimes it just takes somebody saying, "Hey, you're wrong. You need to think about this," for it to click in my head, and it's like, "Oh, okay. Well, that makes perfect sense.
Right.
Great." And and that helped out a ton. Just
What
having
did you change the most? What was like your big ticket item?
breakfast. It was bacon. We've had the bacon conversation. I've eliminated bacon from my life. I'm on the turkey sausage now. That's
Okay. How do you feel about that?
I'm used to it now.
Getting there.
I'm
Okay.
getting there. It's not an everyday thing.
Okay.
But just seeing what I was eating for breakfast and coming up with a better alternative
Right.
to that, that was one of the biggest changes. I've always been a big breakfast guy. When I started, I was like, I had eggs and toast and bacon. You're like, yeah, bacon. I'm like, okay, so we're just going to make that change. We're just going to head pull the trigger on that and make that change. And it's worked out.
Right.
I think this weekend I cooked some bacon for the kids, and that's the first time I've cooked bacon in my house in 5 months.
Oh,
And
how'd
it's
that
like,
smell?
it was glorious.
So
It's
good.
like, oh,
Right?
It's like,
So-
this is great.
And with anything, I think that something that we always hit home is have the bacon, but maybe not every single day.
Yeah,
You know?
and it's and I've kind of committed to it. It's like I'm dialed in on my nutrition. I'm dialed in on my gym work, and I know what's good. I know what's bad, and there's going to be times where I mess up. I'm going to go to Public House and I'm going to get the bison burger with the fried green tomato on it, and it's going to be great.
100%.
But I'm not going
Did y'all
to.
ever get the wonton nachos?
Yes, I mean we had them last weekend. It's like
Heck
these
yeah.
are the best things ever.
They are so good.
We do that, Angela and I will do it maybe once every 2 months. It's a treat. It's not to we're used to, and the previous mentality is like, hey, we're going Friday night, we're going out, Saturday night, we're going out, and we're going to eat all the things. And now we've changed from that. It's like we'll go out one night and have a nice meal, but then the next morning you're back to overnight oatmeal or
Right.
eggs and whole, Dave's Killer Bread and turkey sausage,
Right.
or fruit or something better for you.
Trying to wrap your brain around 80% of the time we're doing all the things right.
Mm-hmm.
And then if I'm going to 412, obviously I'm not doing that all the time.
Right.
But if I do go every once in a while, I'm gonna get the wonton nachos.
Yeah.
And I'm turning the plate, and Jesse's gonna eat half, and I'm gonna eat half, and then I'm gonna go on to get the other things.
Mm-hmm.
The pork chop's my favorite, but yeah, to wrap your brain around, this is normal, and then the 20% of the time, I'm gonna do the other things that I
Right.
enjoy, and it's not a big deal.
Right.
So we enjoyed ourselves this past weekend when we went out of town, but that's not all the time.
Right.
And wrapping your brain around that is the trick.
Well, and it's you've got to live a little.
Yeah.
You've got because I've tried the the all carb diet, blah blah blah. And it's like you just get so miserable, and life is just so. It's like, oh, I got to go eat eggs and bacon again. I can't have nothing else. It don't work. That's not. I found that it's not something that I can sustain.
Mm-hmm.
And with the nutrition coaching and eating the way that I'm eating, I can sustain this.
Right.
It's not the end of the world if I go have the wonton nachos. I mean, it's not like we've got to reset everything and it's like, oh, I'm a horrible person. I ate bad. Now it's like, hey, tomorrow morning I'm going to eat good. Tomorrow at lunch I'm going to eat good. Tomorrow at supper I'm going to eat good. I'm
Right.
going to get right back into it. And it's
Yeah.
easier to transition back into good eating
Right.
than what it was.
Well, you at this point you have such a strong base
Yeah.
that, and towards the end, so our coaching was 12 weeks,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm gonna say by like week 8 or 9, we pretty much tweaked and turned, and I got you to log your food, and
Yeah.
you turned that into me, so we really saw like what you were eating on a day-to-day basis, and by that time, you pretty much had it dialed
Yeah.
in.
Yeah, it was once I figured out a couple of different meals.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll have like 2 different meals for breakfast, and I'll have 2 different meals for lunch, and then change up dinner. But it's just kind of getting into that mindset. Hey, these things are good. Eat it till you get tired of it, then swap it up.
Yeah.
And it's worked out really great for me.
I loved having our conversations because I could just feel that you have such a love for food.
Oh,
So
yeah.
like,
Yeah.
I would be like, Patrick, what'd you get for dinner? And you'd be like, so I went to Brickyard and I got this kind of meat. and then I decided that I'm going to use this kind of seasoning, and I cut up the vegetables this way, and I sprinkled it with olive oil and salt and pepper and the other seasonings. And I'm like, this guy.
Yeah,
So
I love to cook.
you have a love for food. Where'd that come from?
I guess just growing up, you know, it was always every time you had a family get together, it's like, hey, we're gonna get together and eat. Or if you know, like after I graduated college and moved out, you know, my mom and dad would be like, hey, come over, you know, hadn't seen you in a while, I'll cook you supper. It was always there was always
a
this
social
family,
thing, yeah.
family bonding. It's like
Right.
when we get together, we're gonna eat.
Yeah.
You know, and with the way I come up, I grew up with the old school cooks. You know, it's like, hey, we're gonna get some green beans. We're gonna get, you know, all the things, and there would be enough food to feed half the county, and there'd be like 9 people there. It's like, okay, you know, here we go. But and I grew up cooking with my aunts, and you know, and helping them in the kitchen when I was younger, and I just love to cook, and I just kept on cooking.
So now you told me that you turned down your mom's, is it apple pie or something like that?
Oh, my mother, she bakes all the time, and they were homemade cinnamon rolls.
Okay.
Homemade cinnamon rolls and homemade orange rolls. They're about that big around.
Sure.
And I mean, you could just see the cinnamon goodness in there, and it's like, I can't. I want those. I want the whole pan, but I can't do it. And she's like, "Are you sure?" And I'm like, "I'm very sure." And she's like, "Boy, you've changed." I said, "I'm trying. I'm really trying. I mean,
Thank you for noticing.
Yeah, thanks for noticing, but you're really not helping."
Wow.
But you know, she does that every now and again. But she's been very, you know, supportive of me. She's like, you know, if I'm coming over for supper, she'll cook vegetables, or she'll cook, you know, grill some chicken, or you know, tenderloin or something.
Right.
So she's been helpful.
How have your kids responded to this new you?
Really good. I don't buy the bad things in the house anymore.
So your things are Oreos.
Yeah.
That was your thing.
Oreos is my thing. I can sit down and glass milk and just no more
Just
Oreos.
destroy
Just
them.
destroy Oreos. So I don't do that anymore. And it's funny, is my son, I've got him on like a banana kick. Like I'll buy a bundle of bananas, and when he comes over, it's like he'll eat them all in like 3 days. I'm like, dude, you just ate like 3 pounds of bananas in 3 days. Like,
I like them.
I like them. And I'm like, you know what? I can't gripe at you because, like,
It's bananas.
you know, it's
Yeah.
bananas
Yeah.
or an apples or oranges. And I've kind of seen a little bit of a change in him to where when they come to my house, it's like, hey, we're not getting the Oreos, we're not getting the chips, we're not getting the sodas. You know, if we're going to drink anything at Daddy's house, it's water, milk. That's pretty much it.
So they haven't given you a hard time about it?
No, they've
It's
actually
just-
been supportive of it. My daughter, she'll roll with anything. She's a little old bitty thing.
Laid back.
And my son, he's a little bit of a meathead. He's a bigger boy, you know. He's a true lineman, and I have to, you know, check him every now and then, son. You need to slow down. He's like, okay, and then he'll go get some grapes out of the refrigerator or an apple or something. So they've took to it. They know that it's important to me, and I've talked to them both individually about, you know, hey, no, you don't have to completely not eat a candy bar every now and again, but don't eat a candy bar every day. And you know, trying to transfer some of those fundamentals over to them to help them make.
Right.
I mean, my daughter, she's 11 and my son's 9, so I know they're not going to be, you know, nutrition gurus, but if I can
It's little things.
kind of start laying the foundation for that, maybe it'll help them when they get a little older.
That's awesome. And I think that we all, I know for me, I wish that I would have gotten a little bit more direction as a child.
Yeah.
Like we didn't necessarily eat bad, but we ate like every other
Yeah.
family did,
Yeah.
you know, with Hamburger Helper and spaghetti and all that. So when we started our journey, it was very eye-opening. You're like,
Yeah.
I didn't realize that eating all of this stuff. I thought it was like, okay, part
Yeah.
of a balanced breakfast or,
Right.
you know, whatever. So it's just very eye-opening,
It is.
the small little thing, which I guess we get most of our information from like marketers and stuff. And that's
The people trying to sell you this stuff.
the people that are trying to sell you all the cereal and all the things. So, so now that you're through nutrition coaching, you've still been rock and rolling, doing your own thing. What are your goals now?
I'm trying to get really focused on the nutrition part. There's always areas that I can be, you know, tighten up. There's always something that you can do better. the last month it's kind of been well, it's not as strict as it should be. And I'm really trying to refocus that. Just had a lot of with kids with basketball and school and this and that and other, really getting focused back on that nutrition thing again. Because
where's your first step? Like, how do you, at this point, and since we've gone through coaching, where do you always go back to? Like, is there like a one thing that you, is it like meal prep, or then do you try to focus on water intake, or like where do you kind of like reset back to?
I reset back to grocery shopping, to making sure that I have the good things in the house to eat. And where I run off the rails, if I get hungry and there's nothing in there to eat, it's like, oh, let's go find something to eat.
Yep.
We're not making good choices.
Right.
So my thing is to get back to shopping and getting the good things from the grocery store and having them on hand. That way, hey, I'm hungry, we're going to get grapes.
Right.
Or I'm going to get an apple, or I'm going
Right.
to get a banana, or making some Triscuits and cheese. Can't beat Triscuits and cheese. Something like that. That's where it all starts for me. It's just having the stuff there.
Having the good things convenient and the bad
Yes.
things inconvenient.
Very much so.
Because that's exactly the opposite of how things are, for
Right.
sure.
Right.
So once you get nutrition dialed back in, you kind of get it set like you like it, which, you get kind of like out of the habits. It's kind of hard to get back in. But is there anything else in your that you're looking towards right now?
I guess as far as goal wise, is just to start to see more improvements in here. I'm starting to get some PRs. I'm starting to get some, I PR'd my deadlift by 30 pounds last week.
Jeez, dude.
Yeah.
30 pounds is a lot.
I know, and I was like, oh, okay.
All right, okay.
But just start seeing those improvements. Just start to see the strength improvements come more. I'm starting to get closer to RX and workouts. Not there yet, but I'm not at the bottom.
Okay.
I'm kind of getting in the middle.
Okay.
And really trying to get into those RX and just improve my performance in here.
Beautiful. Outside of the gym, what do you like to do?
Like to golf. I don't get to play as much as I'd like to, but I'm going to change that this spring. Hang out with the kids. My kids are fun. They'll go do whatever harebrained thing I come up with. They'll go do that. If it's, I'll take them to Topgolf, or we'll go paintballing, or we'll go find something fun to do for them. Angela and I like to go out in some of the nice restaurants and get a good meal once in a now and again, just have a night out. And just
Well, it
enjoy
sounds
it.
like you and your family are super active.
We try, yeah. We really try to be moving.
So I'm sure that, I know that we talked about this earlier, but just to kind of hit it home, that yes, this is just an hour of your day, but how it so positively affects the rest of your life is
Oh, yeah.
just amazing. Because, and even with our kids are little, and we'll take them like hiking, like we'll go to like Hurricane Creek or somewhere. And there are times when they're pretty tired, and so which mine are young, I'm not saying put your 10-year-old on your back, but
Yeah.
like I can like throw my 7-year-old on my back and like, all right, I'm gonna carry you for a little bit until
Yeah.
you can like get your legs underneath you. And I just couldn't imagine a scenario where I'm on the couch and I'm like, no, y'all just go play.
Yeah.
Like I think that's where so many of our members in here are. We're not sideline parents.
No.
Like
You're gonna get
I
in
don't
there.
I don't want to be the one like telling them to go out inside and play. I'm the one like, hey, we're going outside to play. Come on.
Yep.
And I think that that's so important for them to see as they grow. And because, yeah, maybe, and a lot of people will tease me like, I mean, your kids, like, once they get older, like, they're just going to do junk food all the time, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, yeah, but they know how to eat, though,
Right.
and they can always go back to that. So setting an example for your kids, I know that was, like, number one goal for you when we started nutrition coaching. So,
very, very important. Just they're going to do what they see you do. Good, bad, or indifferent.
100%.
100%.
Well, Patrick, thanks for coming in.
Enjoyed
I had fun
it.
chatting
It's
with
great.
you.
It's always great to sit down and talk.
And congrats on Member of the Month
Thank
of
you.
January.
Thank
and we look forward to seeing you in class.
Great deal.